Spiral throwers, good afternoon. Today we'll be talking about two juggernauts in the football game, the GST and the Omega. These are the most popular balls on the channel, and when I'm looking at metrics to see how people find my videos, it's often about one or the other ball. One, obviously, Old Faithful, been around a long time. You might say that this is the most popular retail product that Wilson has in the football space, the GST. The Omega, a newer version and a little more technologically sophisticated, though also a retail product. You can get both of these at Wilson's website from Wilson, or there's a few vendors you can buy them from as well, locally here in Canada and in the US. Let's start with a few important metrics. We'll do the GST first. Coming with me today, Old Faithful tape measure. Since a lot of you want to know things like how long are the laces, how long are the stripes, how thick are the stripes. From end to end, these laces are approximately 4.5 inches. That's including the last horizontal lace that slips off the vertical lace. This GST feels rather narrow. The width of the length of the ball over the top, the length of the ball over the top on the midline is about 13 inches, 13.5 inches, 13.25, something like that. And then along the side, we're doing this from approximately the middle of the 4 panels on either side of the ball, a little more at 13.75 or so. A couple of important measurements that don't get a lot of press, I don't think, are the lace widths, the stripe widths, and also the distance from the end of the stripes to the lace. First, we'll do the midline girth. On the GST, at least this ball, approximately 21 inches, maybe just a hair less. And then a few more important ones here. From the end of the laces to the beginning of the stripe, approximately 1 inch, though this will vary based on the end of the lace on your ball. And then the thickness of the stripe, about 1 inch as well. So this is about the same on both sides. You might get a little variance side to side. I've mentioned before that some of these balls have different lengths from the end of the stripe to the tip of the ball, thanks to differences in manufacturing. This ball, 4.5 or so on one side, four and a half on the other. This is a rather narrow version of the GST. Nothing wrong with that. I actually prefer a narrow version of the GST. By narrow, I mean the silhouette coming this way. You'll feel as though you can get more of your hand on the ball on both sides, which, if you're a quarterback, is excellent. That's exactly what you want in a GST or any ball. Now, move on to the Omega. The Omega, as you might be able to see in a side-by-side, is a little more of a, what I would call, modern silhouette. It's not quite as long, and so it's a little wider on the ends. But we'll measure it out and we'll see where we come down. So, the tip of one horizontal lace insert to its end on the other side, almost exactly 4.5 inches. I think you can probably see that, but I'll try and make it as visible as I can. Almost exactly 4.5 inches. The length tip to tip across the laces. And I'm doing this live because I don't want anyone to think that the measurement is not accurate or that the numbers are fudged at all. So we have, like I said, about the midline of one side to the midline of the other. This is just a hair short of 14 inches. And then across the side panel, from tip to tip, 13.5 inches. We have that right up against the middle there. Okay. A couple of important ones, like I mentioned before. We want to measure the width. We want to measure the width from the lace to the stripe, 1 inch, and on the other side 1 inch. Very nice. And then of course the width of the stripes themselves, 1 inch, and on the other side I expect the same 1 inch. Now this ball has a few other features. You can see here double stitched inlays on two panels, the two top panels where quarterbacks oftentimes are putting their fingers. I've said in the past that you will find this ball has your fingers and your finger positioning in mind. You can either use those stitches to straddle, right? Either on one side or the other, or you can use them as grip themselves. Also makes throwing off lace rather easy thanks to the white stripe and the positioning of the stitching. It's a solid product. Overall, between the two balls, I would say that this is going to be a point of preference for you. As I mentioned, when you look at the GST, you see a silhouette that's much more, it feels lengthier, let's say, than the Omega. I'll try and compare the two side by side here so you can see what the ends of the ball look like. This may not be the best angle for a comparison, but it will illustrate the point I'm trying to make. And then again, it's really also an issue of preference with the leather type. The Wilson Omega has the orange leather we've talked about so many times on the channel. I just put up a long break-in video about this ball. I did this at home. All my own products, all my own process. You can do it as well. This ball has what Wilson calls RBI leather, rapid break-in, and you will find that this ball does break in a little quicker. This has only been conditioned, tacked, and brushed. I also mudded this, but I wouldn't say that mud process was anything special. I didn't use any special treatment or anything like that, just mud from my backyard before I really started to improve my process. And it's got quite a nice shine, quite a nice feel, and quite a nice stick. I'd also note that Wilson has something called REVTECH in this ball. It's, I think, a way the bladder is either weighted or installed. And having thrown both of these balls a number of times, this ball does spin a lot better and seems to be lighter to throw than the Omega. That said, I still prefer to throw the GST for the feel at the end of the ball. I'm not a huge fan of the wider tip, though you maybe if you have a bigger hand than I do, because this ball does, like I said, offer some other tactile guidance when you're holding and throwing the ball, specifically if you're in a league like me where there's no pass pro. We'll do a couple other quick comparisons here. This is the Adidas Dime. I would say this is also a modern silhouette. You can see that there's a lot more similarities between the Dime and the Omega than there is between the Dime and the GST in terms of silhouette. On camera, these may seem negligible, let's say, de minimis even, not noticeable, but in your hand, you do feel it, and there is something to be said for, of course, the lacing as well. The Dime uses, I think, a sort of, synthetic version of the GST and Omega ACL laces. There is some dimpling here, but they are not as good as the ACL lace on either Wilson ball. So that said, if you have questions, you guys know what to do. Send me a message, we'll talk about it. We'll see if we can't clear some stuff up. You can subscribe to this channel here on YouTube or check us out on Instagram, us, as if there's anyone else besides me doing this. That Instagram channel is called Joey's Football Reviews, all one word. That's it for today. Until next time, take care.